Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Sandra Shepard, host of Racing the Races. Check it out. A little late today. Sorry about that. Had some, a lot of things going on. I want to show y'all all my chest. Anyway, had a lot of things going on today, so I was not able to be right at 5:30. I'm glad I was able to come on anyway and get this show started because it's a whole lot of stuff to talk about. It's always things to talk about. And I probably should have called this show like thoughts on the first 100 days or something. Thought on the first 100 days, because I didn't realize by the time we came on, we'd have been right after the 100 days. Because I thought it was going to be today. But yesterday was 100 days of the presidency. And man, let me tell you, man, so many things have happened. I don't even know what to say. But one thing that I do want to say about the 100 days is it seems as though at least the courts are like, okay, homie, we're not going to let you continue to do all of these things, right? We still can't get our legislators to legislate or explain to him that he doesn't get to legislate and be the executive branch of government. So we haven't been able to get the legislators to do that. But I think the courts are finally saying, listen, there are three co-equal branches of government in the United States. We're the ones that get to interpret the laws and make sure people are following them. And we are starting to realize, or at least willing to accept at this point, that you are not following the law, right? And so they're starting to reverse some of the things that he's doing. And what I wanted people to know is all the things he's doing, all these executive orders that are being signed, there's actually over 200 lawsuits pending against the federal government right now. So as crazy as it is, because it's crazy for real, and as crazy and just like the way it seems as though nothing's going to happen, people are doing the work. There are people who are like filing cases in court, and that's why he's trying to come for these judges next, because some of them are starting to say, listen, you can't do this, right? They were saying it before. And even we're talking about people that he appointed, people that were appointed by Reagan, by the Bush, father of Bush's son. So there are Republican judges that are saying, no, we're not going to allow you to do some of these things that you want to do. So hopefully we can get the legislators to start legislating and say, listen, your executive orders ain't gonna mean nothing against the laws that we're going to make, or that we're going to, the laws that we're going to make. All right. Or just encourage people to follow. So that's where we at. So we had 100 days, and apparently even Fox News had to report that he's had like one of the worst 100 days in American presidential history. And actually, he's had the top two. He holds number 1 and number 2 spot for the worst 100 days of a presidential person. And, and even if some people didn't feel it during the first administration, people are feeling it now. People are feeling it now because it's way too much, right? And you may have some folks who are not willing to admit it yet. Like some people are still like, we gonna hold on to, the fact that he's here for us, right? But I think people are slowly coming to realize that nope, he was there to get revenge and pay back all the people who he thought did something wrong to him. And that's why he wanted to be president, and for nothing more. He did not get the presidency to do the work of the people. And that's so much so the case that another thing that I read today, because I'm reading more than watching news, is that there's over 100 individuals that he thought has done him wrong, that he's already, either send the Justice Department after them or somebody to go investigate him or go do something to him, because he felt as though they did something to him, right? So again, we don't have a person in the president is not there to do the work of the people. He's not there to do anything for people. He's there to do things for himself. Firstly, he didn't want to go to jail. So he's like, if he became president, he wouldn't go. And then now he's just spending the rest of his time exacting revenge. And then the main thing that he wants to do, and I think that's why legislators don't want to legislate yet, is that he wants to pass this crazy tax break for billionaires who don't need another tax break at the expense of everybody else and everything else, right? So those are the things he wants to do. And I suspect once he allows it, if this tax break ever makes it, right? If it makes it, I think at that point it's going to be fair game in the billionaire folks who are kind of sick of him too, but they won't say it yet because they don't want him to mess with their money like that. He's going to allow the legislators to impeach him again because he's going to get impeached again. He's absolutely going to get impeached. The question is going to be whether or not he'll be removed. And he may not get impeached right now because, again, the Republicans and Mike Johnson may not be willing to do that. But I think for the right deal, he might be willing to do it too, right? Considering like once they truly realize this is all going to be a sinking ship and he's going to be like, I don't want to be on it. And maybe at that point, Mike Johnson is going to be like, all right, we're going to go ahead, get those articles of impeachment drawn. And when they get to the Senate, the senators are going to be like, okay, we had enough of this because all of us going to lose our jobs in 26. Every single one of them that's up for re-election is going to lose their job in 26, as they should, right? And I'm talking about Republicans too, that get replaced by somebody that makes some sense. Go ahead and primary all 218 of those Republicans that's in the House of Representatives because they're there doing absolutely nothing. Because if they were doing something, there's no way the country would be run by executive orders the way it is, right? All these things that wants to happen, if they really should be the law of the land, then the legislators should be the ones legislating them, as opposed to this guy signing an executive order doing all kind of things. This is crazy talk, right? This is absolutely crazy talk, crazy town. Worst 100 days in office belong to him, and we know it, and we feel it, and we see it. All of that, and all of that, right? So I don't think he's gonna last this time. I thought that the first time too, but and he did get impeached twice. It's just that the Senate wouldn't pull the trigger. So I do like he was doing enough things that they were gonna say the man ain't fit for office, right? Right now, everybody can get it. Everybody's getting it, and it's gonna get to the point where even his supporters are gonna be like, nah, right? And you can tell that his supporters are just not fans of what's going on. But they're taking it out on the legislators, right? So these Republicans have been trying to have town halls, like all of them, right? Well, the ones in Miami, they ain't trying to do nothing. Nobody can't find them. They don't know where they at. Salazar, Diaz-Balart, what's the name? Carlos Jimenez. Nobody don't know where them people at. So the ones in Miami, nobody can't find them. But in the other places, I think Byron Donald tried to have some, and Republicans across the country have tried to have town halls. And boy, they cannot handle the heat, the smoke, or nothing that's happening in those rooms, to the point where I think Mr. Mann is going to sign another executive order to say that you can't exercise your First Amendment right at a town hall and say that you're dissatisfied with the work of your elected officials. So I'm sure he's going to probably get involved in that, because I mean, them town halls are getting real spicy on the Republican side. So that's just showing you that people are sick of it. However, I think it's still a little misguided, right? I think it's still a little misguided because they need to be mad at the man that's signing all the executive orders too, right? So they need to show that. Unfortunately, we can't have no election right now to vote him out of office. But I think just by all of the things that we're seeing happening at the town halls on the Republican side, it's just, you can see the growing frustration with the base, and people are showing up and saying, nah, this is absolutely not what we signed up for. Hey, classmate, one of my campaign school Yale classmates is on. Good to see you. I know that I think their new class, 25 have been selected. I see that they're posting. So if you ever want to get some amazing training, it's really campaign training, but it crosses over into all different areas and all different spaces. Apply for the campaign school at Yale. The applications usually come out sometime in January and close out in April. So they're done, because I see that they're posting the class that's going to be in New Haven in June. Is that's going to be in New Haven in June. But if it's something that you want to do, absolutely apply to the campaign school at Yale. You're going to meet some incredible, amazing people. It's going to be an experience that I totally would do it absolutely again. And so shout out to the campaign school at Yale. It's an amazing experience, and you just learn so much. All right, thanks. Good classmate. Good seeing you. So yes. So 100 days. It's been a wild 100 days. Again, so on the immigration side, I'll talk a little bit about it. But now we have a dedicated immigration show that's on Thursdays at 7:00. I do that with Dr. Naomi Blemure and community advocate Christine Sanonjou. Both of those ladies ran for office, and they were like, "Yo, we gotta talk about this immigration stuff." So we're gonna talk about that. And it's getting crazy. There was a Haitian national that died at the Broward Transitional Center last week. She was complaining. She wasn't feeling well, chest pains. They ignored it to the point where she died at the facility. So it's a lot of crazy things are happening. And this is it happened. It's confirmed that Haitian woman did in fact die at the Broward Transitional Center. And again, we're not talking about a criminal alien or anything, right? So when the word on the street was that bad hombres was going to get picked up, that's not who's getting picked up. You have people who had court dates pending that are getting picked up, people that were reporting that they were supposed to getting picked up, people that have court date schedules getting picked up. So they're not picking up all bad folks, right? And another thing that happened on the immigration side, and I'm gonna move from it and talk about the other things, is that my understanding is that they removed a Cuban woman, Cuban national. Let me tell you how rare that is. When I tell you, and she had no criminal history, right? A mother of a 1-year-old. When I'm telling you that those kind of things, like I cannot tell you the last time I heard of them sending back a Cuban woman to Cuba, and that's happening under this administration. And as much as a lot of folks are gonna be like, well, that's what Miami-Dade County get, right? They're the ones that went ahead and voted red all the way down, up and down, no matter what, and they voted for this, right? They did not vote for this. They did not vote for this. They thought somebody else was going to be getting the smoke and not them. And unfortunately, they're suffering the consequences. But I'm telling you, if this dude is to the point where he's sending Cuban women back to Cuba, listen. Yeah. What I'm telling you, this is unheard of. This is unheard of. This is unheard of, right? I mean, it's not a person that didn't have relief. So is bad, y'all. It's bad. And it's getting to the point where even last week he was saying like, oh, we need to be able to just send these people back. We don't have time to put all of these people in court. If we did that, it's going to take 200 years. I mean, that ain't true. You know what I'm saying? But if you are trying to pick up 14 million people, it might take 200 years to do that, because you should not be trying to pick up 14 million people and send them back nowhere. Because if your concern is that, people aren't safe or they're a danger to the community, there are people, some of those people that's being picked up been here 35, 20 years and they ain't do nothing. That should be enough of a record to show that that person's not a danger to the community. Do some comprehensive immigration reform and legalize the ones who can get legalized. Allow the ones that have American family members that can petition for them to petition for them. They have adult children, or whether it be a spouse or something, go ahead and let that happen. And then you can really actually target your focus on these bad hombres that you said that you're trying to get out of the United States, instead of out here just pulling people up from everywhere. You got over 50,000 people in detention, don't even have the space for it. And I'm telling you, they're building tent cities at Chrome, which is the craziest thing to do in South Florida. Hurricane season starts June 1st. You can't have nobody in no tent during hurricane season, and it lasts 6 months in South Florida. So you wasting money building tents that you're going to have to pull up in a month because it ain't going to work, But okay, that's my little immigration rant for the day. So let's get back to all this other crazy 100-day stuff that this man is doing, right? There is, again, people are winning lawsuits. There was another one of the students that got arrested at a naturalization interview, nonetheless. trying to do the right thing, right? Did all the paperwork that they should have done, got the green card like they were supposed to, was going to a citizenship interview, got picked up at the citizenship interview, got picked up on the citizenship interview, and the judge was like, y'all got to cut that man loose. And so I think that person was released today. I'm sure people there that issue may still be controversial because, you know, some folks, you know, were not in support of, like, you know, a lot of that protest or whatever. So, you know, some people may not be happy about that, and I acknowledge that. But in terms on the part where people are able to have their day in court, judges are able to evaluate their claim, and based on the information that's provided to them, they make a decision. That is what we want. People should have their right to have their day at court. And yes, Frida, a detainee at BTC died last week. Yes. A Haitian woman died at BTC last week. She was complaining and didn't get any medical treatment. And I'm sure more information is going to come out about that. But yes, a female died at BTC last week. So this is where we are. This is where we are. And we had a few die at Chrome. People have been sick. So they're not equipped for all of what they're trying to do. And there's no stopping it. They're not stopping. They'll continue to pick up people every day, denying cases that they shouldn't. And this is not the way to go. You know, this is absolutely just not the way to go, and not the way, you know, I don't think a lot of people expect it to be this. Now, those of us who are practitioners, and we knew what we dealt with the last time, we were trying to warn folks. We're like, y'all don't want this. This is not what y'all want. We telling y'all this is not what y'all want. Don't do it. People did it anyway. The other thing, too, that came out a couple of days ago is the man said he wants to go into people's houses to find the illegals. You want to go into your house and find the illegals? Okay. Like, nobody can't want that. And let me tell you, so I remember last year when, you know, we was talking about this, and certain communities, I'm going to get on Miami-Dade a little bit too, that was voting for this. I'm like, y'all don't want this. Because, you know, everybody got like a business in their house. They, you know, people doing all kinds of things in their house that they don't have no business doing. You don't want nobody just be able to roll up in your house looking for no illegal and then find out what you really doing in there. You don't want that. You don't want that. And then, you know, we have castle doctor. Your house is your, you know, a man's home is his castle. People should not be able to just go and interfere and violate your space like that. Especially with all this high mortgage, high rent, high insurance, high taxes we pay in South Florida. You don't need nobody making you feel uncomfortable in your crib. It costs too much to be here for any of that to be happening. All right. So yes, he wants to be able to come to your house and knock on the door and look for the illegals. Y'all ain't want this. All right. But so, you know what the topic was supposed to be today? About these Democrats. They like over here flipping parties and stuff like that, right? So last week we had Jason Pizzo, and I think he was like one of the top ranking Democrats in the party, and he was like, I'm sick of you people. I'm done with y'all. And he switched and became a non-party affiliate. And listen, I think the real reason he did that is because he wants to run for governor. And in order for you to run for governor, you got to declare for whatever particular party it's going to be. You have to declare, I think, like a year in advance or something like that. So I think he would have stayed a Democrat had the Democrat not be, well, so the Democrats are looking as if they're going to support David Jolly to be the governor of Florida. Now, David Jolly was a Republican up until last week, right? But he kind of, well, you know, he was a Republican. I think he went non-party affiliate after the Trump administration won because he was so through and disgusted by the whole thing that he became an independent. He's very popular on MSNBC and all this stuff, very critical of the administration, you know, but I don't know if that means that he don't hold a lot of Republican values. He may just be sick of who the Republicans decided to make their leader. That might be why, but I don't know. However, the Democrats seem to be interested in, you know, letting him be the nominee for the Democratic ticket to be governor of the state of Florida, because apparently Byron Donald wants to be the governor of Florida too. That's a Black Republican out of that Fort Myers area. And I know Ron DeSantis was talking about having his wife run for governor, but not with the $10 million scandal they got going on. I don't think he's going to be able to do that no more, right? You know, they took the charity money, the Medicaid money, put it into a charity, then the charity put it into a political action pack to fight against Amendment 3 and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole bunch of illegal stuff going on. But apparently, you know, certain people could commit crimes and there be no consequence. All right. That's what it seems like. Some people commit crimes and there could be no consequence. So because of that, David Jolly wasn't gonna run against them, and so now he's gonna be like a Democrat, and he's actually in town today. There's a meeting that's happening at 7:00. And he's, I guess they're doing those listening sessions to see what people want to hear. I'm gonna try to get over there to hear what they're talking about. So I think that's probably the last straw for Jason Pizzo to be like, y'all nuts. I'm out of here. I'm going to become an MPA, because there are a lot of MPAs in Florida. I don't know if it's enough for him to win, but there's a lot, right? And all this reminds me of is this same splitting up is how Marco Rubio came into our lives, right? So this is the Charlie Crist, Marco Rubio, Kendrick Meek election. Don't ask me what year that was. Might have been 06 or something. I don't know. Charlie Crist was trying to become a senator. He didn't get the Republican nomination. Marco Rubio did. So that might not have been 6. That might have been 10, because it was like right after Obama. So that was 2010. So Charlie Crist decided that he was going to become an independent. And what he ended up doing was splitting the Democratic vote, believe it or not even the Republican vote. And so Kendrick Meek lost. So it was all like a third. Marco ended up with the most votes. And here we go. We got Marco Rubio as our senator. Now he's a Secretary of State. And I'm sure he hates his job too. He just don't want to admit it yet, but he will soon. All right. So this is what the Florida the Florida governor's race is going to look like in 26. So it's going to be all split up. We don't know what direction it's going to fall in. If David Jolly, maybe he's going to pull Republicans. Maybe he'll get all the Democrats to do it. So he's just going to be splitting up everything. And maybe Jason Pizzo will win as an independent. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. Because if he can get all the MPAs and most of the Democrats, he might be able to pull it off. Who knows? But we'll see. But I think that's why he did that. Not that but it seemed as though the party chair was like, good riddance. I guess they didn't care that he left, because they said it's all for political gains and all this kind of stuff. So I guess they didn't care. It's like, bye, boy. Okay, so that's that. So that's what we got happening in Florida right now. So we're living in the midst of American history. What's happening now is going to be in the history books. There's just no way, right? There's no way that how we live it right now isn't going to be in the history book. It's historical. Now, I don't know if we're going to be alive long enough to see how they tell this story, but we're actually living in history right now, because it's just so wild, right? So either America's going to come out of this whole thing way better, way stronger, or it's going to be a hot mess. And, we might be one of those dictatorships or something like that, because people saying this fascism, this, that, or whatever. But we're definitely living in the midst of some pivotal moment in American history, and we're gonna have to see where we land. Are we gonna end up in a dictatorship, or is people gonna be like, you know what, dude, we ain't about that life, and we're gonna try to come out. We're gonna come out of this a little bit better, because man, this is wild. And I was just like, how did we get here? And I'm like, folks was just mad, right? Like they were just, I don't know what they were mad about. Were they mad that Kamala, we always talk about her as like the first Black and Indian female vice president. She's the first female vice president, period, right? Ain't been no white women female vice presidents. She's the first female vice president, period. No matter Black, white, Asian, this, that, the third, that's it. It was her. She was the first to do this, right? And, and she was in position. She truly was in position to become the first female president. Now, we can get into the conversation about whether or not, she was not, people didn't want to vote for her because they didn't think she was a good choice. And some folks said, I didn't want to vote for her just because he was so bad. I'm telling y'all should have voted for her just because he is that bad and worse. And we're living it right now, right? So y'all should have voted for her. But some people are like, no, that was not enough of a reason for them to vote for her. I'm sure they would wish they would have voted for her. And I think what was probably stunning for a lot of people was that understand that Black women got the right to vote in 1964. Black women got the right to vote in 1964. Check that out, right? 1964, Black women got the right to vote. And in this past election, 92% of Black women voted the way they voted, right? 92% of them voted, right? And then we had this turnout. So in this short amount of time, if we look into the whole of American history, that's a lot of big strides. That's a lot of strides for Black women. And maybe some people are just like, they don't understand and they gotta shut it down and slow it down or stop it or whatever. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's why, there's all this DEI backlash, not always thinking that DEI is always about just Black folks, and it's not. It's about women, people in the military, people with disabilities. It's all of that. All of that is included in diversity, right? But they want to make it a Black woman thing. But I think people are still trying to wrap their heads around the fact that Black women got the right to vote in 1964, and they're the ones who put up the first female vice president and almost put up the first female president. It ain't gonna be no female president in 2028. I'm gonna tell y'all that. It's gonna be some dudes. We don't know who those dudes are. They're starting to try to figure out, we'll start knowing soon. By 26, we're going to know who those people are going to be, but I doubt it's going to be a female that's going to be, at least on the Democratic side. Maybe there's a female on the Republican side that may be able to stand out, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be a female on the Democratic side for president in 2028. I don't think so. We see, but what do I know, right? So yeah, we talked about Pizzo's thing. Screw y'all, Democrats. Yeah, I think he said a Democrat suck or something like that. I think he did say something like that. He either said suck it or they suck or something like that. He mad. He in his feelings. You want to be governor, and that's one of the things where we have to think about too. Are people in this because they want to do the work of the people, or are they in this for their own political benefit, for their own gain, for them to have power? He might be in it for power, I don't know. And the Dems are tripping. Oh, so Hogg, his name might be David too, but he's one of the young kids that survived Stoneman Douglas. He's actually, I think, the vice president of the Democratic National Committee, right? And Ken Martin is the chair of the National Democratic Committee, right? The DNC. But Hogg is raising separate private money so he can help fund the campaign of other Democrats. Right? Because he said apparently the party, they be supporting folks that he don't think they should support. Right? So now he's raising private money, and now Martin is like, he should resign immediately. That young man's not gonna resign immediately. I'm gonna tell you, these kids not playing with y'all. These young folks, them early 20s, them young people ain't playing with y'all. They're like, all these old people that's 85 years old trying to keep their jobs, and they're like, it's time for y'all to go and retire. The people in the middle, like my age or whatever, we're trying to be respectful, you know what I mean, and wait our turn. Them young folks are like, yeah, y'all keep waiting y'all turn and let these almost 100-year-old people make decisions for y'all that can halfway think and probably got medical conditions that's impairing their brains. They're like, no, we're coming in. We need to see some change. They're not fighters for whatever reason. And so these young folks are coming in. And that man done raised, like, I think he either raised $20 million already, or he's trying to raise $20 million. So to help Democrats that are not going to be funded by the DNC win some seats. I ain't mad at you, little man. I ain't mad at you at all for that. I'm not mad at you for any of that, right? So we got to make space for all these thoughts. Like, why are you going to tell a boy to resign? If he could get the money and, get people elected that's going to do the work, that's going to speak up, because our legislators are not legislating right now. They out here scared. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not legislating. So let's see what's up. So the DEI stuff, Harvard folded, y'all. They didn't 100% cave, but they caved a little bit. They're going to change the name of the DEI to some sort of community something or other. They're going to, reevaluate. They're not going to fund, like the Black Student Union or, whatever organization wanted some money to have an event that celebrated just the Black students that were graduating. They're not going to do that anymore. At least they're not going to fund it anymore. So I guess, all right, Black Harvard alumni, y'all going to have to give up the money to fund those kind of events if y'all want to see them happen on campus, because apparently the school can't do it no more, right? So Harvard caved a little bit. And I mean, on one level, you can understand it, because the funding that the government was threatening to take wasn't even like no DEI money. They were going to take money from researchers. They were going to take money from researchers, y'all, researchers, cancer researchers, all different type of stuff. And you know, when you have to think about the greater good, you want people to be able to research and find cures and things like that. You know, I think the Black folks will be all right that they don't have no small private graduation party to allow the researchers to keep their jobs researching. So yeah, so Harvard folded. The other point that I wanted to make, all right, let's see. I think that was it. I know there was one thing I was going to talk about and I forgot it just that quick. And that's why I took my notes, but then I kind of messed up on my notes, right? We talked about being in history. We talked about, you know, Kamala. Oh, the tariffs. This is my last point, and I'm going to let y'all go because we're about 30 minutes right now. The tariffs, y'all. These tariffs are so problematic that they're going into private sector. Apparently, UPS is about to fire 20,000 workers because of the reduced deliveries from like Amazon and all of those things, right? Because not as many things are coming out of China anymore because so many things are made out of China. And so now it's, you know, so not only the cost of things are being expensive, you're not going to be able to find certain things anymore. And now UPS is saying that they're going to fire about 20,000, not just drivers, workers, because, right? There's no product coming in. And then there was another image that I saw earlier today too, was that there's this port that was one of the most busiest port that have things coming in, ships coming in, all kind of stuff. Nothing. Well, I would say nothing. Very little activity was taking place there because of those tariffs. That ain't good for America, y'all. I'm telling you, it's not good. Those soybean farmers, they can't sell their stuff. They're not getting paid for the crops that they already grew. It's crazy. This has to stop. So at this point, this is up to all them folks y'all sent to Congress, them 435 House representative folks and them 100 senators. They need to start legislating. Because this is crazy. So not only are the federal government people losing their jobs because of Doge, right? They're cutting jobs, and then now it's going into the private sector. And when people lose these jobs, where are they coming back from? Like, where are they going to work? Like, what other industry is going to be able to take in all of these folks that are out here losing employment, right? This doesn't make any sense. Oh, and the thing about Doge ain't saved nobody no money, right? Well, no, they didn't save no money. And if they save money, they probably spent more than they saved, and it was truly not any saving because the rest of that money is going to be in litigation costs. Because like I said earlier, it's over 200 lawsuits that's already being filed. So there's not saving any money. And in terms of fiscal responsibility, in the first 100 days, this administration has spent more money than anybody else, right? So, child, please, they ain't doing nothing good for nobody. All they doing is stressing you out, is personal vendettas, and the country ain't better. But we're going to come out of this better, is the expectation. Is we're going to come out of the madness better. Hopefully enough people are sick of it now, and then we don't got to keep dealing with this too much longer. All right, people. So that's it for today. I did good. I'm at 33 minutes, still ain't right at the 30, but I'm trying to get there. And so I may or may not see you guys next week, because my niece is graduating from Cookman on Thursday, and it's real early in the morning. So I think we have to go on Wednesday. So depending on what time I leave to get there on Wednesday, I may have a show, may not. I might run something back. But yeah, I might just go ahead and run something back. And if not, then I'll see you guys the week after. But yeah, my niece is graduated from I said my daughter. Now it's my niece. She graduated from Cookman on Thursday morning. We all proud of her. So my sister's done with all her children. They all done with school. No, it's a few in school, but that's the baby right there. And then I got a couple more years before I send mine off. All righty, y'all. See you next week. Or not. But no, tomorrow. Actually, no. The immigration show is tomorrow at 7 o'clock, same place. Elections happen.